Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show men and women how they can lead healthy, happy, sustainable lives. And I'm really excited because today I'm joined by Austin Green. And Austin Green is the founder of the Business Support Academy. Hi, Austin.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. It's lovely to see you, especially in that great shirt. So I think a good place, you like your shirts, don't you? I think a good place for us to start really is kind of your childhood. I'm just really wondering where that hunger for business came from and whether that was something that your parents taught you. Did they teach you about business?
Um, to a degree, yeah. My dad was in the insurance industry, so he's an insurance broker, and he founded his own firm or bought his own firm when he was sort of in his late 30s with a partner. So I sort of knew about owning a business from quite a young age, and I used to go with dad to the office and on a Saturday and help and tidy up or do. I don't know how much of a help I was really, but sort of, yeah, it did. It sort of gave you a flavour for it. So I think I always had from my dad that it was a good idea if you could to own your own business. It was something to go for. It was a goal to have. So yeah,
Brilliant. So I know you've actually been really involved since you were 18, haven't you? You say that you were at the sharp end of business. So tell us about the experiences that you've had from the age of 18 up till what you do now.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. My dad paid for me to go to school, to a private school in Guildford. I'd say it's probably a complete waste of money because I wasn't very academic, to be fair. I loved the sports, to be honest with you, so rugby, cricket, everything like that. And I did okay. I think what I'd say is I probably got better results than I would have done had I gone anywhere else. But yeah, so I didn't go to university at 18. One of my best friends, his parents bought a hotel down in Devon. And I just immediately went to work down there and absolutely had a ball for a couple of years, working the seasons in the hotel. And I just loved that part of the world. So I ended up moving down to Cornwall. And yeah, I think living down in that part of the world, a lot of people were self-employed, in whatever jobs they were doing. And that's what I ended up. I ended up being a window fitter, new UPVC frames were just out at that time. And a girlfriend I had, that's what her dad did. And I worked for him, self-employed basis. And really being down there, it was just in that world where all my friends then of my age, which was by then sort of 19, 20, 21, we all just aspired to do our own thing, and that's what we did. So we were sort of self-employed as window fitters, and then I tried various different little businesses with friends of mine, so printing business of postcards and stuff like that. And then eventually that led to me setting up the first home delivery pizza business in Cornwall. So at the time there was Pizza Hut, that was the biggie, and Pizza Hut was in Plymouth and did local deliveries, but they wouldn't come over the border and over the river into Cornwall. So me and my girlfriend set up a little pizza kitchen in our cottage and started home delivery pizza service, yeah. So Pixie's Pizzas it was called, as in Cornish Pixies. So, and I remember, I think I told you when we met before, it was like we took £117 on our first Friday night, and that was just from having an advert in the paper and shoving out leaflets and all of that, and we were over the moon. And the great thing is I couldn't tell you what profit we made out of that because I had no idea about portion control, or so our pizzas were absolutely packed with all the ingredients. Everybody loved them because there was so much on them. But yeah, and I think it was probably my first experience of a small business, if you like, as opposed to just being self-employed. So that sort of took care of the first few years, and then we sort of got to 1990, and for all of us old enough to remember it, that was a recession year. So, Cornwall just died in that year. You know, it's everybody I knew was sort of suddenly out of work. People, you know, including me, we lost our houses and our businesses, and so I ended up moving back up in '91 to London, back to come and live with my dad, and really start again from there. So that's what we did. I tried some network marketing at that time, had some couple of jobs, and then eventually wound up working for a very large cleaning company in London, looking after all the high-level window cleaning of all the, you know, some of the major blocks like Canary Wharf Tower at the time, and later the Gherkin, etc. And was with them for I think 3 or 4 years before I then ventured out on my own again. This time in the cleaning industry. So sort of after the, I don't know, probably, yeah, just after the turn of the century. I've had about 3 or 4 cleaning companies since then, which we've built and sold. We've had a travel agency, which we've owned in the last few years, and sold that a few years ago. Currently, we've got 2 cleaning companies that operate in sort of London and the southeast. And then the newest venture is our ski training centre down here in Smaldale, which is where I am. That's where I'm based now. And that was, luckily we opened that just 3 weeks before the first lockdown. So that was lucky. Not. But we've survived, we're still here, we're open again now. And that's doing very well. So yeah, they're the 3 main businesses that I'm involved in. And then obviously we've now launched the Business Support Academy, which is something I've had a long held sort of want to do. And that's really creating, at the moment, an online community, business community, but will be going into a in-person community as well. And that's really, it really comes from my passion for business itself. So I've had sort of different businesses over the years, and I think I really got for myself, actually what I'm really interested in is the mechanics of business. I love it. And it could be any business. So there's some that take, you just sort of end up falling into, like the cleaning companies, and they're great. The ski centre came around, and the travel agency came around from being involved with friends of mine and getting involved in putting their business plans together and putting their finances together. So that's what the Business Support Academy is really designed to do, is bring people together and support entrepreneurs and business owners as they're setting up and running their companies over the first few years, when, let's face it, that can be a time that's a real challenge, because whenever anybody opens a business, they suddenly come across things that they realise they have to know, and they didn't even know that they had to know that. Yeah. Money can always be challenging, and sometimes it's even just being on your own. It's just like, it's nice to have family and friends to go and talk to, but not always are your family and friends the best people to talk to. One, because they know you, and secondly, because if they're not in business themselves, they won't maybe fully understand what it is you're going through. So it's nice to come and talk to and be coached by and just chew the fat with like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Encourage you.
Yeah, I mean, what I love, Austin, is you're clearly an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur is looking for an opportunity and just has that hunger. But the fact that you've done so many different things, and also going through that recession, a lot of people would have just gone, right, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But actually you had that kind of bounce back ability, and that no, I'm going to make something else work. So it's that drive which I think is really, really inspiring.
Yeah.
I know that actually you're really keen on Aristotle's motto, which goes, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not the act, but a habit."
That's
so can
right.
you say more about that?
Yeah, it's I've always tried to instill in the businesses, whether it's me just working myself in the business or creating a team around the business, that you strive to be the best you can be. And for instance, as the owner or the boss or whatever you want to call it, I always have it that my job is to provide all my staff with the tools so that they can go and provide the best service that they can. And it's really that. It's just that if you keep on top of doing the best, then doing the best just becomes a normal thing. It's not like, oh, we've done something special. It's just like, no, this is how we normally provide the service, give customer service, provide the product, whatever. So it's really along those lines, and a lot of that is about then, personal development, developing yourself, so that I think it's very important that you go and try and understand how you operate as a human being and how your brain works in the world, and give yourself an understanding then of how others may work as well, and that's what allows you to then really listen to people and get them, so that you can then provide them with what they need to go and do the great job. So it's all around that.
Yes, and I actually want to come back to some of those things that you touched upon. But what would you say are the kind of skills and qualities that are necessary in business?
So I think the main one is, it's like I say, I think it's actually really developing yourself, and that, because lots of people will have an idea of what business they could run. It's like the saying is like everybody's got one good book in them. I always think everybody's got one good business in them, but it's just how you get that out of somebody. So I think the first thing is really, if people are going to run a business, it's to know, if you run your own business, I always say it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You've got to have it that it really does become part of you, as opposed to, the job is something you can go to and then step away from. It's always there. And I think it's about having I don't want to say, but like a positive attitude, or a way of getting yourself over the hurdles. My dad always used to say, life, son, life's like a race course, really. It's like you can, horse jumping, you can get over one hurdle and straight away there's another one right in front of you to get over again. So I think it's being someone that can have the ability to get yourself, over whatever issues are there or hurdles, and get yourself, back up on the horse and go again. And then I think it's more about, see, for me, if you own your own business, the finances are like the most important thing. It's like, and that comes from my own experience. Since I was 18, started the pizza business, it was like, had no real understanding of how all the finances work in a business, and things like cash flow or profit and loss or portion control or anything like that. But I think if you go and teach yourself and educate yourself in just the fundamentals, it's not like you've got to be a bookkeeper, not like you've got to be an accountant, but just understand the terms and really more understand how to analyze what's going on in your business. That's fundamental, because that will stop you making some bad decisions. I sort of always say that in a business, like, the owner is the emotional creature. It's like we've got emotions and everything like that. A business itself is just a product. It's just an entity. It's ice cold, if you like. And your only job as a business owner is to have that business be successful. And how you do that is you reduce the risk of that business not succeeding in whatever area it is. So whether it's in the finances, whether it's in your leadership, whether it's how you market the business, your job is to keep the risk low. So you're basically breathing the fire into that business to give it the best chance of succeeding. So it's looking at that from an analytical point of view, if you like.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Great advice, Austin. And obviously we all know that setting up any business, it is a big deal, isn't it? It takes money, it takes time, it takes effort, and success is never, ever, ever guaranteed. And I know you love it, but what would you say to, kind of got you when you went through the difficult periods and you kind of didn't know, and you talked about personal development, but what do you think it was that, or is that, enables you to step beyond and go over that hurdle, or find a way to go around it?
I think it's actually what your dreams are, your goals, your aspirations, and all of that. It's, there's, as human beings, we have an innate want, I think, to want to succeed, help each other, you know, and make a difference in people's lives and have an impact in the world, you know, at whatever level. It doesn't have to be, you know, I'll go and save the whole world. It could just be with your family, friends, your local community. So I think it's really important always to, if you're running your own business, to have vision of like, okay, why am I doing this? Because otherwise we can all have it. We all get up and have a bad headache on the morning you wake up and think, why am I going into work and why am I dealing with all these people and issues, problems and all of that? What's it all for? But actually, if you've got that dream and goal right in front of you, then that's what you're working towards. You can very quickly get yourself over it. Like, oh, that's why I'm doing it, because you know, I want to do whatever it is, and it could be anything. It's you know, I say to people, it's fine if it's the houses and the cars and the holidays. That's great. Nothing wrong with that at all. Go for it, and let's get you there. I find for a lot of people, it's partly that, and then there's another part which is about giving back. You know, helping, supporting local communities. You know, it could be even just, you know, a common one would be people supporting their local sports team. So they sponsor their football shirts, rugby shirts, you know, running club, whatever. That's always quite a big one. And for a lot of people, it's just, you know, there's charitable organisations that they're particularly affiliated to, often through things that have happened, you know, through their family or whatever. So I think it's important that, yeah, as a business owner, you really keep clear, okay, what are my dreams, what are my goals? And that's what I'm working towards. And that's why I go and do all the things I do down here in the business. So I can make sure I've got either really the time or the money or both to go and do the things I'm really interested in.
I love that you said that. I think, you know, your why is everything, really.
Yes, yeah.
And
yes.
yeah, it's the only thing really that's going to keep, in my opinion, that's going to keep you going. And yeah, fantastic. So how would you say, I know you touched on it briefly, but how would you say the business support academy actually helps people? What, you know, what would people expect from being part of it?
Yes, well, I mean, as I say, it's in its sort of early stages yet, but the idea is that we have and it will be a subscription-based service, very low level. I call it the Netflix price, you know, sort of a low-level monthly cost, but it gives it some value. But it is people just coming together in a community. So there'll be, like I say, it's more online at the moment, so things like, you know, closed Facebook pages, etc. Eventually, will come to being able to offer in-person services. And then the idea is that on the platform that we've got online, people can come on. There will be so there'll be the community itself. Then there'll be courses that people can purchase over a range of things. So, for instance, on my courses, this comes under the FLAME acronym. They're called the FLAME courses. It's very simple. It covers finance, leadership, administration, marketing, and then enterprise, which is sort of the sales and operations. And you know, there'll be stuff that's free. There'll be stuff that's very low priced, up to sort of higher price courses over, you know, that take over 3 or 4 days, and people can come on. And for me, it's about educating business owners or business owners, you know, going, right, I'm going to educate myself on how can I really get to grips with my finances. You know, lots of people wing it, and I know that because I've done it. And you can wing it for so long, and then I think you need to really sort of, you know, get to grips with stuff. So it could be on finances, it could just be on leadership. You know, it's not easy for people to start running a business and then start employing people. And quite often in the beginning, it's employing family and friends or people they know, and then suddenly to have to be a leader for those people. And how do you do that? And, you know, some people can be quite shy or not really know how to go and build a team and have people be on side with you. So it's all of that. And then we've got other people that are going to come and collaborate on our platform as well. So one of the first ones we've got is a lady who's great in women's leadership, for instance, and she's putting a bespoke course together for us to come and offer on that platform, and there's things she'll do. And then there's loads of other stuff. So it's like really, especially after the last year, it's really looking at people's mindfulness and, you know, mental health. So we're going to have some stuff on there from, you know, yoga teachers and mental health specialists and, you know, dietary requirements, and just really having yourself be well and looked after. And again, only from my personal experience, I know how easy it is not to look after your health when you run a business, because the easiest thing to say is like, I'm really busy and I need to be there, I need to be doing this, I haven't got time for the gym or whatever. So it's really taking that on as well, of like being the whole thing of like, look, if you're a business owner, you can come to our platform, you can look at looking after yourself across a whole range of subjects, or, you know, things like that. So that's really important too.
I love that. It sounds like it actually encompasses absolutely everything. I love that you mentioned the fact that we need to be well to run a business.
Yeah.
And you know, if we're lacking in reserves, how can we? Yeah, we can't kind of pay that forward, can we? So fantastic. If someone is struggling right now, Austin, they're watching this and they're actually really struggling in their business, would you give them any advice? What advice would you give? Any tips?
Yeah. I think the thing is, when, you know, when I've done consulting in the past and people have come to it, it's looking at, okay, be honest with yourself about what's the real problem, because you could get overwhelmed by, oh, it's this and this and this, but really fundamentally it will probably come down to just one or two things. So, and finance, I just use finance as an example, but it's a big one, because if your finance is one of the main things, then that will affect so many other things that are going on in your business. And then come down to it with like how to eat an elephant, you know, one bite at a time. It's like, don't overwhelm yourself, really just list it all down. I'm a great one for lists and, you know, and just looking at it and taking it apart. And then it's two things. It's one, it's being honest with yourself, and that's where educating yourself and building your leadership skills can really come in, because you can then be really brutally honest with yourself of, okay, these are the issues I've got, this is what I need to deal with. And then the second thing is go and be in communication about it. And it's either be in communication with people affected by what the real issue is, or go and be in communication with people who can help you with what the real issue is. You know, and that's part of the thing with the Business Support Academy as well. It's like, sometimes we don't want to let people know that we're not doing as well as we'd like them to think we're doing. I mean, Facebook's a great one of that, isn't it? You go on Facebook, everybody's leading an amazing life. Not quite like that in reality, probably. But it's, so go and be in communication about it. And, you know, again, as the Business Support Academy, we're looking at having, I don't know if I call them like experts or gurus or whatever, but in all different aspects of business life, where you can come and get some really good, you know, advice or mentoring or coaching or whatever, that would then really have you go and address the issues. But it's absolutely sure, if you bury your head in the sand, there's only one way it's going to go. And I've known over the years plenty of people who have done that. And that was part of my thing with the Business Support Academy, is like, actually, wouldn't it be great if there's a very simple way where people can go, I'm having this problem. Actually, do you know what? You just go online, click on the link, you know, click into our community, and there'll be a whole array of people there, both experts, part of the BSA, and then just members of the BSA themselves, that, you know, if you put something out there, you'd get, you know, some real valuable advice and stuff back that would really make a difference with you. And I think that's what people want, actually.
Yeah. I guess it's really important as well to acknowledge what's working, what's going really well. You know, I think sometimes, you know, people get little wins and they just forget to celebrate that, and really, you know.
Absolutely. And I think also that's so good, because again, will say to people is exactly that. Look, what are you good at? What do you love? What's your passion? What are you great at? Great. That's what you should concentrate on. And again, one of the biggest things for people when they're looking to scale up a business is how do they do that? And it is that thing of like, you've got a plan to start outsourcing some of the things that you've done yourself just to get your business off the ground. And that either could be outsourcing to a contractor, or actually just taking people on the payroll and starting to pay them a wage to do the part of the job that you don't want to do. So that's another important step. But absolutely, always celebrate the wins along the way. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point?
Absolutely. So on a scale of 1 to 10,
yeah,
10 being the max, how important would you say, Austin, it is for you to really enjoy what you do?
Oh, for me personally, it's a 10. I absolutely love what I do. It's and funny enough, I have as part of my own personal development, I have a call every Saturday morning with a couple of people, and it's just looking at what we're doing in life. And one of the questions every Saturday morning is, are you employed in the way you want to be employed? And it's just like, absolutely yes. So yeah, I think it's there, but it's the thing that you're passionate about that's the thing that's important. It's like, be passionate about something to go and do it, because again, just as much as having those dreams and goals of this is where I want to get to, it's like if you're doing something you're passionate about, then that would be a natural thing for you to get up every morning and want to go and do it anyway. So
or perhaps if you're passionate about your vision and this is what you're doing to create, I guess, is that just as valid?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing about the academy is that people get to really obviously meet lots of people in different businesses, but they also get to see, oh my goodness, we're all dealing with the same sort of things. And I'm not alone, I'm not a loser. Actually, everyone's dealing with this, and that must be some consolation as well.
Absolutely, because that's a natural thing, isn't it, for people to be fearful and have, I'm not good enough, it's not for me, I'm not going to, it works for everybody else, it will never work for me, and all of that. And you're absolutely right, when you get into the conversations in the community, it's just like, look, we're all dealing with the same sort of stuff, and if you can support each other in it, then actually that it's like shares the load, doesn't it? And that just makes
absolutely, totally, yeah. Now, you mentioned moving mountains, and I came there recently, and I was totally blown away, Austin, as you know, by the moving slopes, the equipment you've got, the teachers, the whole ethos of the place.
Yeah.
I thought that the energy was amazing, and I love what you were doing. And there was a group of young schoolboys who were on a summer camp. Who were absolutely having the time of their life, and it was so brilliant to see that. I think that one of the things I like about you is you seem to have this kind of ability to get into the world of the person you're talking to. Where do you think that skill comes from?
Good question. I think some of it is, is a natural trait of a personality that will come through however your childhood went, if you like. But then I think a lot more of it comes as especially as we get older, through looking at things like your own personal self-development and doing some work on that. Because the thing is, it's as you experience more, it's very easy to then form an opinion that you then think is you're right. Your opinion is the only thing that matters. You're right, and everybody else has to fit into that. And I think if you can develop the skill where you can put that to the side, because it's always going to be there, you can't help your brain thinking stuff, but if you can put it to the side and then really develop your listening skills, then that has a major impact in actually really how your life goes, let alone how your business goes. And like I said, I think in business, it's the listening that's really important, because you'll start a business, you'll have had the idea, you might be passionate about it or whatever, and it's like, right, I'm going to do this, and it's going to go this way, and it's how we're going to do it, and all of that. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, you're then dealing with other human beings. And actually, whether it's as customers, as employees, as suppliers, whoever it is. And I just think it's really important to be able to know how to listen to all of the individual pockets of human beings you're dealing with, so that you can then go and make sure that they're giving you everything you want them to give you. And you can't do that by just laying down the law. It just doesn't work like that. You can. I don't think it's a particularly effective way of doing it. And I don't think people would particularly enjoy working in that environment. And there's many examples, you could look at in business life of people who are like that. So I think, your listening skills, it's actually called transformational leadership as opposed to transactional leadership. That's the difference, the difference between the two. And transactional is where you're very micromanaging and it's all your way and everybody's got to do it exactly to the T of how you have it. And then transformational is, like I said earlier, it's where you really listen to people and you give them the tools that they need, or they say they need, to be able to go and deliver the job you want them to do for you.
So there might be people watching us and thinking, what are you talking about? I listen all the time. What you're saying? What do you mean listen? I do listen.
Yeah. Gosh, good question. I think you've got to go and find some ways. I mean, for me, I took a course called the Landmark Forum about 15 years ago, and that's delivered by a company called Landmark Worldwide. And for me, it was just an eye-opener into, oh my God, this is how my brain works. This is how I operate in life. And it was, it was sort of transformational for me in getting over that fear of just walking around in life, afraid of ever making a mistake, afraid of upsetting anybody, afraid of doing anything wrong. It just gave me some real freedom in myself and in my self-expression to be able to go and do the things I want to go and do in life. So that's probably what I'd recommend, is people look at going to do a development course where it's really working on themselves, to then understand, like I said earlier, this is how I operate in life. This is me walking around as Austin Green, getting annoyed by this and loving that and all of that sort of stuff. But then having an education in, let me look at that person, and if I could actually start to understand how they're walking around in life and what's going on for them, then I might be able to make an impact on that and actually, have it be mutually beneficial, that as I help them, they'll actually help me back in return, maybe just by doing the job that I want them to do to the best of their ability.
Actually, I mean, that's obviously where we met, isn't it, Austin?
Yeah, exactly.
And I did the Landmark Forum about 25 years ago, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. And I would totally recommend it if you're watching. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of all the things you've ever done, of which there have been countless, let's face it, of all the things, what would you say you're most proud of?
Ooh. I think I'm most proud of what we talked about a little bit earlier, was that recession in 1990, where I was living down in Cornwall. I had my own house. I had two businesses, which included the pizza business. It was running in the evenings. I had, the vehicles, and the girlfriend used to go on holiday, and all that came to a crashing end over a 6-month period. And I can remember getting on the coach, the National Express coach from Plymouth back up to London, because I've lost my house. The business has gone, given back the vehicles. Me and my girlfriend weren't together anymore. It literally was like me and a holdall on the coach, waving goodbye to one of my best mates and coming back to London to go and basically live in the top room at my dad's house. And I can remember on that coach journey thinking, no, this isn't going to be it. This isn't going to be it. I don't know how, but it isn't going to be it. And it took something to go back up and humbly go back to my dad's house and have him look after me for a while I went and got a job and things like that. And to think that, so in, when was that, 1991, to now, I really went from nothing to what I've got now. And I absolutely love my life. I love where I live down in Brighton, love the work that I do, the friends and family and wife and everything around me. Sort of, that's what I pat myself on the back and go, actually, you know what, nobody ever gave me anything. I've earned this. And I like to think I've done it in a nice way. And that, it's, I'm not into one where it says, oh, you've got to be a hard-nosed businessman and be that in life. And I'm just so polar opposite to that. So that's, I think I'm proud of that.
Wonderful. And it's not over till it's over, is
No,
it?
Exactly that.
Brilliant. One last question.
Yes.
When you are no longer on this planet, Austin,
yeah,
how would you like to be remembered?
It's very easy for me. It's like, be kind. That's my overriding motto. Is I just want to be, the legacy I'd like to live is where people are just kind to each other. We don't. No, not one of us knows what another human being is thinking about and what's really going on for them inside. So yeah, mine's a world of compassion and kindness, and just that. Yeah, simply.
Wonderful. Austin Green, it's been so great talking to you. Thank you ever so much.
That's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.